Joining us is Senator Lamar Alexander, chairman of the Senate Republican Conference. He supported the president last time around, voting yes to confirm Justice Sotomayor. Good morning, Senator. Thank you for being with us.
Good morning, Savannah.
So I know you said that if the president nominates what I believe you called a fringe candidate, you would not be ready to support that candidate. What does that mean? What does fringe mean to you? I take it from your past vote, it doesn't mean somebody you just simply disagree with on policy.
No, I don't mean, elections have consequences. I expect a Democratic president to nominate someone that I wouldn't nominate. But what I mean by someone who's far out on the left, or someone who insists on applying their feelings instead of applying the law, this strange criteria the president talks about, where he wants a nominee who's on your side politically, which is just the reverse of what you want on a court. You want someone who will be impartial. That's the oath.
Senator Alexander, is there anybody right now that you've seen considered, particularly in the first 4 or 5 names that you hear the most often, Elena Kagan, Merrick Garland, Janet Napolitano, Jennifer Granholm, any of those unacceptable to you? Do they qualify as fringe?
Chuck, that's a perfectly legitimate question for you to ask, but I'm not going to answer it. I'm not going to start rejecting people before the president nominates them. What I hope is that the president will nominate someone from the mainstream who's well qualified, who will apply the law, and I think we should then have an up and down vote on that person, and I'd like to be able to vote for that person. You know, there was a time not long ago when Justice Scalia, the most conservative member of the court, was unanimously supported, and Justice Stevens, who's retiring, was unanimously supporting. The Democrats poisoned the well during President Bush's term by opposing, even filibustering Justice Alito, for example. President Obama did that as a senator. I'd like to get us back to where we were before.
Senator, there's been some talk that the president would like to find somebody outside the so-called judicial monastery. My question to you is, would you support a nominee who had no prior judging experience?
I could do that. It is true that we've gotten to a point where everybody on the court's from Harvard or Yale, and they're tremendously well qualified, like Justice Roberts or Alito, but they don't have that broader experience that might be very useful on the court. Some of our better justices over time, I think of Justice Black, for example, had broad experience on the court, and I think the president should very well consider a broader range of people.
Senator, I want to turn to the nuclear summit here, and actually specifically another nuclear issue, the START treaty. You had indicated last night in an interview that I saw that you weren't ready, that it could take over a year potentially to ratify the START agreement. You have some concerns about nuclear policy in general. I understand that. On the START agreement itself, from what you understand, do you expect that you might be able to support it as it is written right now, forgetting about the debate about nuclear policy overall, but on this specific treaty, is there anything in it that you don't like?
Well, I'm sure there will be, Chuck. Here's what I think. I think it's a step in the right direction. It's a modest step, but unlike the health care bill, we're actually going to have a chance to read it because it requires 67 votes, but we don't get it all until May. And the first START treaty took 431 days to consider. So we've got a lot of questions to ask, like will we have a modernization of our own nuclear weapons during this time? Can we verify today the way we did in the 1990s? Technology has changed. And if we ask the right questions, get the right answers, I think there's a very good chance the treaty could be confirmed. But it's hard for me to see how it could happen this year, especially with the Supreme Court debate pushing so much to the side.
All right, Senator Lamar Alexander, Republican of Tennessee, thank you so much for your time this morning, sir. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Savannah.